we're going to be having a look again at our part-part-whole table and using our part-part-whole table to figure out a missing number in our maths equation, or a missing number in our maths number sentence. We can see that part plus part will equal a whole, and that is the rule here. But we can also use the table, the part-part-whole table, to work out what a missing part in a maths number sentence could be. And the rule for that is one whole take away part equals the other part of the maths equation. Let's use our knowledge now of the part-part-whole table and the rules to work out some maths problems. So, in the middle we have a maths problem, but before we get into it, I'm going to be solving this maths problem using my problem-solving think board. I'm going to see what the question is asking and the important information that I need to answer the question. I'm then going to plan, so decide on a strategy that I'm going to use to solve this maths problem. I will then attack the problem in the do section and use all of my knowledge, but more importantly, showing my working and the steps along the way. And then in the check section, I'm going to write my answer as a complete sentence and see if I can figure out a way to double check to see that I'm accurate. Alright, let's have a look at this question. There were 47 people in the first carriage of the train and 64 people in the second carriage. How many people were on the train altogether? Okay, so what I'm going to do in the first section is I'm really going to figure out what this question is asking and what is the important information in this question. Well, there are two numbers that stick out. The first number is 47 people. So there were 47 people in the first carriage, and there were 64 people in the second carriage. And then it's asking how many people on the train were on the train altogether. When I see the word altogether, that is a hint. That's telling me how many altogether. So that means in order for me to work out the answer, I will need to find out how many people were on the train altogether. Because altogether means addition. That's another word for saying plus. Okay, so what strategy am I going to use to solve the problem? Well, I'm going to stick with the strategy that we discussed at the start of the lesson, which is part-part-whole. So I'm going to use part-part-whole strategy. So I'm just going to write part-part-whole. Part-part-whole strategy. Okay, so if I'm using the part-part-whole strategy, I need to understand the different parts of the part-part-whole table. So coming back to the what is the question asking, I can see that I have the first part here, 47, plus the second part, which is 64, but I don't know what my whole number is going to be just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw part-part-whole table and see if I can fit these two numbers correctly within that table. So we have our first part, which is 47, so 47, and our second part is 64, and if we add those two together, we're going to get our whole number, and we don't know the whole number just yet, so I'm just going to put a question mark here, and I can now think of some addition strategies that I can use to add those two numbers together. Okay, so I think I might use the split strategy to add these two numbers together. So, underneath, let's start adding them. So I've got 47 plus 64. Now I'm going to add my 10s together first. So 40 plus 60. So 40 plus 60 is, well, I know my Rainbow 10 facts, and I know that 4 plus 6 is 10. So 40 plus 60, it's not going to be 10, it's going to be 100. And now I'm going to add 7 plus 4. Oh, I can use my Rainbow 10 facts to solve this as well, because I know that 7 plus 3 is 10. So if I add one more, 7 plus 4, that's going to give me 11. And if I add the 10s and the 1s together, that's going to give me my answer. 100 plus 11 is 111. Oh, wow. That's how old Bilbo Baggins was. Alright, so I can put my answer in here now. So 47 plus 64 is 111. Right. Now, we've attacked the problem, but we need to check to see if that problem is correct. So before I'm writing my answer as a complete sentence, I'm going to work out another strategy, another addition strategy that I can use to add those two numbers together to see if that is correct. I think I'm going to use a number line to add the two numbers together. So it was 47 plus 64, wasn't it? So 47 plus 64. So you know what? I'm going to flip those numbers, and I'm going to add 64 to 47, because I know when I'm doing addition, I can flip those numbers around. So let me just write the expression. So 64 plus 47. Write it up here. Oh, gee whiz. It's not a very neat 7. 64 plus 47. Alright, so I'm going to put 64 on this side of the number line. 64. Now I'm going to add 47 to 64. So I'm going to add 40 first. So I'm going to break 47 up into its 10s and 1s. So add 40 first. Well, I know that using my Rainbow 10 facts that 6 plus 4 is 10. So 60 plus 40 is 100, and then I'll carry over the 4, so it's 104, and then I'm going to add 7 to 104. Well, if I add 6 first, to make that 110, so I'll add 6 there, then I have one number left, 1, which gets me 111. Excellent. So I've double checked my answer. I also have 111 when adding those two numbers together. I'll just double check the numbers that I had to add together. 47 and 64. 47 people in the first carriage. 64 people in the second carriage. Okay, good. So I have those numbers correct. And now I need to write that answer as a complete sentence. So there were 47 people in the first carriage of the train and 64 people in the second carriage of the train. How many people were on the train all together? So I'm going to put that in a sentence, and I'm going to write, there were 111 people all together on the train. Fantastic. Done. So, what have we done today? Well, I used my part-whole knowledge to answer this addition question. So, I found the key words that the question was asking of me. I created, firstly, I decided the strategy that I was going to use, which was part-whole. I used my part-whole table to attack the problem in the do section, and then I double-checked with a different addition strategy and put my answer in a sentence. Fantastic! I want you to have a go at some part-whole questions yourself using the problem-solving ThinkBoard.